most of us would have to admit that there are certain people that we've met that just rub us the wrong way. Now, we don't wish them any ill will, but they're probably not on your list of who you're going to invite over to your place for dinner next week. So, you ever prejudge someone? Made a snap judgment on someone based on what you think they are, or the vibes you pick up from them. You really have little or no knowledge of who they are. We categorize people maybe by how they dress, the job they have, their political affiliation, their tattoos, maybe even their haircut. Sometimes our prejudging people determines even whether we think they have any hope or future in this world. It was no different in Jesus' day. People viewed one group of people, tax collectors, as traitors. They thought they were sellouts to the Roman occupation. Now, tax collectors were viewed with such contempt by religious leaders that they're almost just totally writing them off as they're destined for hell. Jesus, however, he didn't see people that way. Jesus looked past these external appearances. He looked at people and he saw what they could be. So now we're going to look at how Jesus treated a tax collector by the name of Levi. You know him better as Matthew, and he wrote the first gospel in the New Testament. Let's look at Matthew chapter 9, verses 9 and 10. As Jesus went on from there, he saw a man named Levi sitting at the tax collector's booth. "Follow me," he told him. And Levi got up and followed him. While Jesus was having dinner at Levi's house, many tax collectors and sinners came and ate with him and his disciples. Now, Jesus gave Levi, Matthew, the same invitation that he gave to the other disciples. "Follow me," Jesus said. It was another way of saying, I want you to be my apprentice, and I want you to learn from me. Frankly, I smile every time I think of Jesus introducing this tax collector to the rest of the disciples, especially to Simon the Zealot. Simon the Zealot, the word zealot, he wanted to overthrow the Roman occupation. And so a tax collector for the Romans meeting someone who wants to get rid of the Romans. You got to hand it to Jesus. He forced his disciples to move past their tendencies to judge people by how they make their living, about their politics, about their appearance. And I really like the way Jesus loved to poke the bear when it came to the Pharisees. He really was in their face on their legalistic criticism. Jesus probably has a few words to say to us today on the way we prejudge people. So now Jesus, he's eating. The disciples are eating. They're at Matthew the tax collector's house, and not only at this tax collector's house with one tax collector, but all of his tax collector buddies and a few other sinners to boot. When the Pharisees saw this, they asked his disciples, "Why does your teacher eat with tax collectors and sinners?" I just want to stop for a moment. It's like, any of you sin this last week? Okay, I don't care how righteous you are. You sin, I sin, we all sin. And so our problem is that we look at other people's sin and we gauge it to be worse than ours. And so we might say, of course I sin, but I only sin on the good stuff. You're a sinner, for Pete's sake. So here we go. You're eating with tax collectors and sinners. On hearing this, Jesus said, "It is not the healthy who need a doctor, but the sick. But go and learn what this means. I desire mercy, not sacrifice." These guys were really good at doing all of the traditional sacrifices. They would have a sin offering. They would have a guilt offering. They knew exactly when to do all these traditional things. In short, Jesus said, you're really good at being religious. but you're not good at offering mercy. The reason that God offered these sacrifices, he gave the law, and then he said, because you guys are going to have trouble with this, he had mercy. He said, I'm going to set up a sacrificial system so you can be forgiven. The idea behind those traditions was to offer mercy, and these Pharisees were clueless. They should have been agents of God's mercy. Instead, they thought they were agents of God's judgment. And Jesus said, I have not come to call the righteous, but sinners. And these Pharisees were so clueless, they didn't even realize they were sinners. You know, Jesus had no time for the bigoted comments of religious hypocrites who should have been reaching out to tax collectors and sinners. The Pharisees were too busy rejecting certain people to consider them candidates for God's love and salvation. Pretty sick. Question: isn't it easy for us to act like the Pharisees? To judge the eternal destiny of a few people that we really don't even know that well? It's awesome that Jesus sees beyond what appears. Jesus meets people where they are. So in this story, who do you resemble? You may be in the shoes of Matthew the tax collector, pretty much surprised that Jesus wants anything to do with you. Or you may be like the Pharisee in this story, busy judging people by their appearance as God shakes his head in disappointment at your actions. The good news is this: tax collector or Pharisee, there's room at the table for you. Jesus went to the cross for both. So Pharisee or tax collector, both are sinners. Both need what Jesus offers. If you go to Romans chapter 5, verses 6 through 8, listen to this. You see, at just the right time when we were still powerless, Christ died for the ungodly. Very rarely will anyone die for a righteous person, though for a good person, someone might possibly dare to die. But God demonstrates his own love for us in this: while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. Hopefully, you're hearing a gentle whisper right now. The words, "Follow me," are reaching out to you just like they did Matthew. No one is without hope. Remember, God wants you to thrive.
Have you ever sensed being judged in a religious setting? How did you feel and respond? What is the difference between Jesus' view of sinners and the Pharisees' view of sinners? What can modern-day Christians learn from this story? Give an example of how you would apply this. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to enjoy more by the Vineyard Church, like us on Facebook at www.facebook.com/The Vineyard Church Iron Range. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, The Vineyard Church Iron Range. Or visit our website, www.ironrangevineyard.org. Lastly, subscribe to our e-newsletter to stay connected. Do so by visiting our website and clicking subscribe to our e-newsletter on the homepage.